Tez. Welcome to TezMania TV, and in today's video I'm gonna put my goofy side aside and focus on something that is very serious and really important. Today I'm gonna be talking about every single person on this planet having a right to their own body. And I've touched on the subject before, for instance in the video called Commenting on Other People's Appearance. I partly go into one of the things that I'm going to talk about today. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I suggest you start by watching that one. I get a lot of messages from you guys, and regarding this subject, it's more frequently from my younger audience, specifically people still living at home, about family members, partners, or other people in your lives in different ways trying to control your bodies. It doesn't matter if you're a child or if you're an adult. No one, not a single person on this planet other than you, decides what happened or doesn't happen to your body. This is really important, and this is a rule of humanity that is broken every single day all over the world, and it's one of those things that pisses me off more than anything else, really. And a lot of people don't know their right, don't know their worth, don't know that they do have a right to their own body, because they do. So I feel that it's really important to talk about this. I also understand that it's easier to talk about these things as if you have a choice when you're in a Western society like I am and you're white. There are privileges that come with that, obviously, and there are so many angles that somebody like me hasn't even come close to experiencing. So I understand that it's not just a matter of people saying no when somebody does something to you that you don't approve of, because you don't always have that choice. So I'm going to be referencing two separate things on this theme today. The first one is everything that is in relation to your physical body and the appearance of it. So the shape of your body and the way that you look, basically. The second one is the acts that you perform with your body or that others do onto your body. So the first one is more appearance and the other one is performance, if you will. Now the first one is the one that goes hand in hand with the video that I mentioned before. So what I present in this video is directly applicable to that as well. No matter if it's fat shaming or skinny shaming, pointing out what other people eat or how they choose to be physically active, how they choose to dress or in other forms decorate their bodies, like makeup and hair and clothes and jewelry, and if you're into it, body modifications. These are choices based on personal preferences, and no one else should have any say about this other than you. Ever. This is your body. The only exception for that rule is unless you actually turn to a person and ask for their opinion on this matter. As I've said like a million times in my videos over the years, the greatest thing that we have as human beings is the diversity. It's our personalities, because we are individuals. That's the beauty of it. This is freedom in its purest form, and whenever anyone, for any reason, tries to take this right away from you, they're breaking these boundaries and they're breaking your rights to do whatever the fuck you want with your own body. These things are your choices. They're about your life, your decisions, and what kind of person you want to be. Not about what everybody else around you wants. Because your life choices and my life choices have nothing to do with one another, and it's supposed to be like that. In the end, we all have to do what's best for us, and nobody else can tell you what's best for you. They might think that they know, but they don't always know. And also, we don't always know ourselves what's best for us. Like, holy shit, that's also what makes us human, because we make mistakes, and we grow from them, and we learn. But if we're not allowed to discover these things by ourselves, learn these things by ourselves, and try different things out, how will we know? Nobody can walk up to you and tell you this is how you should live your life, and then you just go, okay, and you do that? No, that's not how it works. And yes, this applies to children as well, not only to adults. Even if you're not an adult, if you're not over 18, it doesn't matter. Nobody has a right to tell you what happens or doesn't happen to your body, how you can or cannot look. That's still up to you. No one has the right to tell you who you are, and no one has the right to change you. So it doesn't matter if you're a transgender child, a child with a non-normative preference in appearance, a child who chooses to question and challenge the other norms of society. No one should ever tell you to choose differently, not even your parents. And again, the only exception for that rule is if you actually ask people. If you're a kid and you ask your mom for advice, or you ask your friend for advice. then yes, you're actually asking them to give their opinion. If you're not, then maybe they don't need to give you their opinion. Just trust your kid to make their own choices. And I'm not telling you to not be a parent, because obviously you have to tell your kid to, you have to wear clothes when you go outside, you can't be naked, and this is how you treat other people, and this is how you're respectful, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not asking you to not be a parent. That's not it at all. But if your kid wants to shave their hair off or wear their Mickey Mouse onesie to school or whatever it is, you have to let them do that. So I'm not talking about kids being silly and testing boundaries. I'm talking about the things that are actually important, the things that shape us into the people that we become when we're adults. And every single time that you feel the need to tell your kid not to do something, not to wear something, not to look a certain way, before you open your mouth, stop and think about why you feel the need to tell your kid this. Is it important for you that your kid looks a certain way? That's not fair on your kid. Your kid's appearance is not who you are, it's who they are. If your kid wants to make their own choices and it's not in the same category as yours, sure, you can talk to your child about it, but you shouldn't be pointing fingers and telling him to do things your way. Obviously, things that are excused from this are things that are directly illegal or damaging to your child. But then again, what's damaging and not is something that's completely individual. I'm talking about damaging in a way that is physically hurting yourself or mentally hurting yourself. Anything like that. Not like, don't wear that color because all the cool kids might bully you. Like, if the kids are that kind of assholes, your kid is not the problem. Telling your child to change because people around your child are assholes, that's the problem. Your child is not the one who needs to change. The assholes are the ones who need to change. And something that is extremely important, if there is a relative or some other person that your child does not like to be physical with, like they don't want to hug them or shake their hand or whatever it may be, do not force this onto your child. And this takes us directly into part 2 of this video, which is the things that we do with our bodies or the things that are done by other people to our bodies. As grown-ups, I'm sure a lot of you directly think about sexual situations when we talk about this. Especially if you're female, I'm sickened and sad to say, if you were born with a vagina between your legs instead of penis, it's very likely that you, in some shape or form, have had somebody physically touch you in a way that you are not comfortable with. Whether it's a stranger or somebody you know. And it doesn't have to be on such a level that it leaves physical or mental marks on you, that it scars you for life. It doesn't have to be on that level. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't have to be to qualify as not being okay. If anyone at any time touches you or forces you to do something with your body that you are not comfortable with, that you don't want to do, then they're breaking that boundary, and it's not okay to do that at all, under any circumstance. Not to a child, not to an adult. Sometimes people are just morons and they don't even realize that they're doing these things, but sometimes people are sick and they're assholes and they do these things on purpose to hurt others. And it's not always easy to tell which is accidental and which is on purpose, but either way, none of those are okay. It's never okay to do that to another person. And something that might be okay with one person can be completely not okay with another person, because again, we're individuals. For instance, I can be a very physical person. I really love like being very huggy and kissy and close with my friends and with my family, but I know people who really hate that stuff. I have friends who don't like hugging. I know people who don't like handshakes. Like, there are a lot of different ways to not want people to touch you, and you have to respect that. Now, we always need to try to speak up in situations where the other person doesn't understand that they're doing something wrong, or when they're doing something wrong on purpose and you're being hurt by it. We have to try to speak up, but there are a number of reasons for why we're not always able to do that. We're not always able to voice our discontent or being uncomfortable and things like that. And that can be a lot of different reasons. It can be because you're a child and the person doing this to you is a grown-up and you don't know what's right and wrong. Or you might just be too scared. You might not be able to communicate in a way that gets through. You might not even be sure what you think or what you want. So many different reasons. And you always have the choice to tell somebody else. You don't have to feel like you're alone. There's always somebody to talk to. If you don't have somebody close by, if you don't have family or friends or relatives, anyone who knows you and is close to you, there's always like neutral parties you can talk to, like medical professionals and stuff like that. Always, no matter what age you are. It's just important to remember that it's never your fault. It's never your fault that you feel uncomfortable in a situation that somebody else has put you in. And it is okay to change your mind in the middle of something that you thought would be fine at first, but then you're like, no, I'm not cool with this at all. Completely fine. You're not forced to go through with anything, no matter what the situation is. And you have to talk to somebody when these things happen. If they do happen, you have to get them off your chest, and you have to understand that it's not your fault. So there's nothing wrong with a person who doesn't like hugging somebody, who doesn't want to shake people's hands, like sharing a changing room with other people, being naked in front of other people, or having sex, or whatever it may be, anything that has to do with your physical body. You decide what you're comfortable with. If that is who you are, then that is everybody else's job to respect that, just as you will respect them for making their choices. If people around you don't know this about you, or they don't understand it, it is their job to ask and not to try and force their own opinion on you. And it is important for you, by any means necessary, like any communications that are available to you, to make people understand that this is the way that things are. And if you can't do that by yourself, again, there are people you can turn to who can help you do this. So be as open and honest as you can, no matter if you're the person who feels that you have a right to tell people what to do with their bodies, or if you're a person who has other people tell you this. Just come to terms with the fact that you're never going to be able to understand or agree with every single person that you meet. That's just a fact. That's who we are, and that's a good thing. That's supposed to be like that. It doesn't matter if it's family or if it's somebody who you just met. You do not have a right to their body, just as they don't have a right to yours. The only exception for that is if you give them the right to your body, but that right can be taken away at any second for any reason, okay? You're allowed to change your mind. Thanks for watching.